Hello guys, and we are welcoming you back to yet another video on C++ tutorials. And sorry guys for the delay in the video, and today we are going to study about loops in C++, or you can simply say the iterative statements in C++. And this is going to be a long video as compared to my other videos, because we are going to discuss all the three types of loop in one video only: the for, while and do while loops. So yeah, iterative statements, and we'll study them in great detail now. Okay, so guys, please like, share and subscribe the channel. And I have see, one reason for delay was because I was working very hard on this video, so please watch it. Okay, so let's start with our video, guys. So what are iterative statements? Let's try to understand this. What are iterative statements? So if I want to print the numbers from 1 to 10, I ask you to print the number from 1 to 10. What you will do? You will go to the C++ programming IDE. You'll write like this: cout 1 \n for leaving the line, and you will do it up to 10. Okay, so yeah, it's quite simple. What if I ask you to print the numbers from 1 to 100? It will take some time, but eventually you will do that too. Now what if I ask you to print the numbers from 1 to, let's say, 10,000? That's a big task. Okay, that's not a thing which you will do. Okay, obviously you can do, but you will not do. Why will you type the counting from 1 to 10,000? Why? You will not. Okay, see, typing numbers from 1 to 10,000 is big hectic. Okay, so yeah, you can do it, but you will not do it. But this can be done very easily using the loops, using approximately 3 to 4 lines of code. We can do this. Okay, so how are we going to do this? Using the loops. So we'll declare a variable I. Okay, we'll initialize it to 1, and we'll say that increment this value by 1 until I becomes less than equal to 10,000. Means until I becomes equal to 10,000, you have to increment the value by 1. Okay, until I, which is starting from 1, becomes equal to 10,000, you have to increment the value of 1. So this is a condition. Okay, this is a condition, and this will be our base for loops. Okay, this will form our base for loops, guys. So now I think you might be getting that what actually the loops are going to do. We are going to operate on certain conditions and iterate them. Okay, so let's say another example. Let's say you want to calculate the factorial of any number. Oh, that's a mathematical concept. What is a factorial? So if I talk about any number, okay, let's say I talk about 5. So what will be the factorial of 5? It will be 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, which is the number, and all the numbers which are below that number will be multiplied until 1. Okay, this is called as factorial. This is a mathematical concept. I'm not going into depth of this. So yeah, you should know that what a factorial is, right? So this is actually a factorial of any number. Now what if I say like 7? Okay, the number is 7. You want to calculate the factorial. So how will you do? You will say that 7 is the starting, okay, and I is greater than equal to 1, which means that 1 is the ending point. Okay, 7 is the starting point, 1 is the ending point. Between them, as many numbers are there in between them, you have to multiply them all. Okay, you have to multiply them all, and this will actually be the factorial. And again, you see, this is a condition that we have a starting point. We have a condition to check that that is, your number should always be greater than equal to 1, because if you multiply this by 0, then entire thing will become 0. So this is a condition. So these kinds of problems are solved using the loops or iterative statements. Okay, these are solved using the loops or iterative statement. Iterative. So where we have to print the repetitive tasks, okay, and where the repetition is going on, so we do it using loops. Now what are the different types of loops? There are different types of loops. Now we are going to study different types of loops, and we are going to implement them using the programs. Okay, so get started. Okay, so guys, on your screen you can see this a flow chart, and this is about the types of loops. Okay, so basically we categorize loops into two types. One is the entry controlled loop and another is the exit controlled loop. Now what does this actually means? What is this entry controlled and exit controlled? We'll talk about this thing, yeah, we'll talk about this thing, but first let us try to understand that these entry controlled are of two types, that is for loop and while loop, and this exit controlled is also of one type, which is the do while loop. So in short, we have three types of loops. One is a for loop, one is a while loop, and another is a do while loop. Okay, so we have three types of loop: for, while, and do while. Okay, now what is this actually entry control and exit control loop? Okay, so see, if I, in the previous section I told you that the conditions, the loops works on conditions. Okay, like if I wanted to print the factorial, then the condition was number should be greater than or equal to 1. So this entry controlled and exit controlled can be differentiated on the basis of, when the conditions are checked. Okay, so if I want to print a number between 1 to 100, or all the numbers between 1 to 100, the condition is that, the variable which you are choosing for printing the numbers at 100, that should stop. The loop should stop at 100. So there's a condition that your variable which you were choosing should be less than equal to 100, which means that as soon as your variable becomes 100, the loop should stop. So I less than equal to 100, here is the condition. Okay, now if this condition is checked at the beginning of the loop, then it is called as entry controlled loop. That is, first the condition will be checked, second the loop will be executed. This is a sequence in which the entry controlled loops will work. What will happen to the exit control loops then? So in case of them, first, the condition will not be checked. First the loop will be executed and then the condition will be checked. I am sure you guys are not, very much of getting this, that what I am trying to say, that loop will be executed, condition will be checked, or condition will be checked, loop will be executed. When we'll see the program, you will, sort of, it will clear the things in your mind. So we are going to see the programs now, and we'll implement all these things in the program. Then you will actually come to know that what conditions am I talking about. Okay, so we'll move. Okay, so guys, we are good to go with this, and I'll save this file as uh, for loop. Okay, so for loop dot cpp. So we are making the first program on our for loop, so I'm saving it by the name of for loop only. Let me zoom it. Okay, so firstly let's include all the header files or streams, whatever we have to include. Int main. Oh, the typing error. Okay, so guys, what we want to do is we want to print the counting from 1 to 100. Okay, so firstly, see, in the for loop you can declare the variable initially only, or you can declare it within the loop only. So initially, you know how to declare the variable int I, the variable will be declared. But now since we are starting the for loop, let's declare this variable within the for loop only. So for, so see, you have to write it in this way, int I. So int I equals 1, because we are starting the counting from 1 and we have to go till 100. So we will write I less than equal to 100, less than equal to, guys, because if you will write only less than, then the counting will go up to 99 only. So I equals 1, I less than equal to 100, and I plus plus means increment the value of I by 1. Okay, and I'll write cout I, that is print I, and backslash n, and in the end I'll write return 0. So guys, this is pretty much our program for printing the counting from 1 to 100. Now let's try to build this code. Okay, so 0 errors and 0 warnings, I guess. Now it's still building. It's giving me an error, guys. Oh yeah, so here, see, it has to be semicolon here, not this comma. I made a typo. Yeah, So this is the syntax of for loop, guys. Please remember this. Here in between there, these have to be the semicolons, and these opening and closing brackets, okay, they signify that a for loop has started and the for loop has ended respectively. Now let's try to build it again. It's still building. Okay, now let's try to run it. So you can see the counting from 1 to 100 has been printed. Okay, this is the counting from 1 to 100 which has been printed. So you can't see the complete counting, so let's just print it up to 10 so that you will be able to see the complete counting. Okay, because you are not being able to see the counting because it was from 1 to 100. So yeah guys, you can see this 1 to 10, this counting is printed, and every number is printed in the next line because I added backslash n here. Okay, so this is quite simple. Now let's move on to again our digital blackboard and understand that how is this for loop working. But before going to that, let me first try to explain you what is happening here in the code itself. So see, the I value is initialized to 1. Okay, this value is initialized to 1, and then this condition is being checked that whether I is less than 10 or not. So since I is 1 and 1 is less than 10, so see, this statement is not executed now. What happens? This is the first statement which is being executed. So firstly, this is initialized to 1 and the condition is checked. Yeah, 1 is less than equal to 10. So we move here inside the body of the for loop. This body will be executed, that is I will be printed, that is 1 will be printed. One line is left. Okay, that is we move to the next line. So what happens here is 1 is being printed, then we end the line. Okay, then this increment will take place. Okay, then this increment will take place. So what you can do is, guys, you can write these steps here also. You can write these steps here in the multi-line comment. Okay, you can write these steps, or it's better to write them in single line only. So so the first step is initialization, that is the value is initialized to 1. Okay, the second step of the loop. Now what is going to be the second step of this loop? See, the second step is going to be checking that whether I is less than equal to 10, that is condition checking. Okay, condition checking, this is going to be the second step. Okay guys, yeah. So what is the third step? What is the third step, guys? The third step is executing the loop body. Okay, we are printing the loop body, so executing the loop body is the third step. And the fourth and the final, and the fourth step will be not the final, the fourth step will be after executing the loop body, we again what we do is increment I value. We increment the I value, that is we move to this step. And after doing all this, the fifth and the very important step, which I guess you guys are forgetting, is move back to second step. Okay, so we are again back to the second step, that is after incrementing the I value, that is now the I value has become 2. We move back to the second step, that is 2 less than equal to 10? Yes, it is less than equal to 10. Then executing the loop. And okay, one more thing, that it has something, okay, like let me write it here. This is 5.1, that if this second step condition is false, then what we'll do, we'll exit the loop. Okay, we'll exit the loop. So you can write comments like this to understand in your code also that what actually is happening with this loop. So guys, let's move to the flow chart. In the digital blackboard, I'll have a flow chart which will explain this working of for loop. So let's move to that now. Okay guys, so now we are up with this thing. Okay, uh, this is the flow chart which is depicting the for loop execution, and we are going to understand this. So as you saw in the for loop, that how it was working, I told you, I even wrote the comments in the coding part. Okay, so now let's move on to understand this flow chart, what is happening. So we started with the condition, initialization expression. Okay, so initialization expression is I is equal to 1. It was there in the code, you remember. Okay, now next is test condition. So what was the condition? The condition was I less than equal to 10. Okay, I less than equal to 10 was the condition, guys. Or I less than equal to 100 when we printed the counting up to 100, so it's one and the same thing. Now it is block of statements, means that whatever it was inside the loop. So what was inside the loop? See out I'm sorry guys, it is not completely visible, but you have already seen the code. Okay, so that's not much an issue, and I'm even not writing the complete code, I'm just giving you an idea of all the things. So now next was update expression. Update expression means like I plus plus. So initialization was done up to 1, so on updating the expression I became 2, and now see, we are back to test the condition. So we again check that is 2 less than equal to 100. Yes, 2 was less than equal to 100. So we again came back to the block of statements, that is printed 2, and again updated the statement, that is again we incremented the value became 3. Okay, so it went on till our value was 100. So when our value was 100, we incremented the value became 101. The condition becomes false and we stop the loop. That is what actually was happening. So I hope guys this flow chart for the for loop is very good for you to understand that what is going on. And you should know about this flow chart. Okay, even if you are studying C or C++ as a theoretical subject in your school or college, then this flow chart will definitely help you. Okay, so guys, we saw that this was the working of the for loop. Okay, and now let's move to a new file. I'll save it by the name of while loop dot cpp. We are going to do this same thing. We are going to print the counting up to 10 only. Sorry. Yeah. So now guys, let's do one thing. Let's here we declare this variable initially only, int I equal to 1, and now we'll write while I is less than equal to 100. See out I, and we'll write I plus plus, and after that we'll write return 0. Okay, so this is quite easy guys. Now let me just build and run this code. It's building and it ran. Oh my god. Wait guys, I guess there is some error in this program. I made some error. I is less than equal to 100. Oh, we have to print up till 10 only. There was no error guys. Actually I printed the counting unto 100, up to 100, sorry, and I didn't leave any line also, so it was kind of showing it that way, and I thought that something was wrong with the program. Now let's build and run it again. It will print counting up to 10, and obviously it will leave line now. So yeah, this is quite simple, you guys can see it. Now let me tell you what is happening is that I'll not write comments now because the execution of this loop is very simple. Okay, it is in the order of which I've written it. Okay, so this is the first step. I have to write it here only. Okay, so this is the first step in the execution. Okay, that is the initialization. Now this is the second step where we are checking the condition that whether I is less than equal to 10 or not. So yeah, 1 is less than equal to 10, so we'll execute the loop body. Okay, So this is third step. Let me write it as 3a because there are two steps in the third step. But basically the step is executing the body only. So this is entirely the third step. Now we'll move back to the second step. Okay, remember after checking the third step we move back to the second step only. That is after incrementing the value. Now the value has become 2. We'll check the condition. Is 2 less than equal to 10? Yes. Then we'll move back to third A, third B. And this is how this loop is working, guys. Okay. So we can again use a flow chart to explain this. So now let's move back to the digital blackboard and understand everything with the help of a flow chart. Let's go. So guys, this is the flow diagram or the flow chart depicting the working of while loop as we saw in the program also. So what was happening in the while loop? I told you in the program itself that it is as it is written. Its flow is as it is. Okay. The flow of while loop is as it is, the same as it was written in the code. Okay. So what was written in the code? It was written like while I less than equal to 100, or let's say 10 for that matter. Okay, it can be anything. Okay, so I was initialized to 1 initially, so this was the step 1. Then while I less than equal to 100, that is we were testing the condition. You can see it in the flowchart, guys. Please see the flowchart that we tested the condition. Okay, then it was to execute the loop body, that is we printed I. Okay, and we incremented. So here guys, one important thing is the execution part includes both the things, the printing as well as the incrementing the value. Okay, the executing of the loop body includes both the things. Now the we again move back to checking for the condition. Now 2 is also less than equal to 100. We again execute the loop, that is we print 2 and we increment the value, that is the value becomes 3, and then we check it for 3 and it goes on until we reach 100. Okay guys, and when I becomes 101, then this condition will be false and we'll exit the while loop. Okay, so this is quite a simple thing to understand. Okay, so guys, we are doing the do while loop and I have already saved this program with the name of do while loop and I have written this much of code already. Now let's initialize I to 1 and then we'll move to the do while part. So do, what we need to do is we need to print the value of I. Okay, so we need to print the value of I plus plus, and now we'll write while this I is less than equal to 10. Okay, and remember to put semicolon after this while. Okay, in the while loop we were not putting this because it was initially. Now we have to end this loop, and for termination we use this thing, and yes, we are using this for termination. So now let's build and run this code and see what happens. Guys, there is an error. I don't know why there is an error. Let's do this, and also I have to leave a line here, \n. So now let's just try to build and run this code. Still it's showing an error. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to put it. Now build and run this and it will run successfully and will print the counting up to 10. So let's analyze what is happening here. So I was initialized to 1 and we printed 1. You see there's a difference. We are not checking the condition for I is equal to 1. What is happening is that I was 1, we printed 1, we incremented the value became 2. Now we are checking the condition that whether 2 is less than equal to 10. So what happens even if I have here, let's say 11. So you know that 11 is not less than equal to 10. So now if I build and run it even, still 11 will be printed. 11 will be printed. Definitely it will be printed. Yeah. So why is this happening? Because this we saw it in the beginning only, that do while loop is the exit control loop. That is, we are checking the condition at the exit. So for the initial value the condition was not checked, and that's why 11 was printed. Now after this 11 value was incremented to 12, then the condition was checked. Okay, so now let's see the detailed working in the flow chart only. So let's move back to the digital blackboard. Okay, so this is the flow diagram depicting the do while loop. Okay, so what happened in the do while loop? What happened in the do while loop? guys, you saw that firstly the condition was not checked for the initial value. Firstly the loop body was executed. Okay, that is why it is called as an exit controlled loop. So you can see the test condition is after the execution of the body in the flow diagram. So what was happening was that C out and I plus plus, okay, and then we wrote while, whatever the condition was, that I less than equal to 100 or 10, whatever we took it. Okay, so it is very clear. Okay, this is very clear that what was happening. Even if in the beginning I showed you in the program that in the beginning only I was 11. Okay, I showed you in the program that in the beginning I was 11 and it still printed 11. Why? Because firstly, it is not checking the condition. Firstly, I'll write it here, okay, again, so that it is visible to you guys, because if I'm writing on the writer it's not visible to you clearly, so I'm writing it here. Okay, so this was the basic syntax of our program, or not syntax, basically I am just writing it to show you the relation between the flowchart directly. Okay, so initialization was taken place, that is I was 1. Okay, now execute loop body, we executed the loop body, I became 2. Now test the condition. So we tested the condition that 2 is less than equal to 100. Okay, now we are not moving back, guys, to the I equal to 1 part. Obviously we'll now check this for 2. Okay, now 2 is less than equal to 100, it will be printed, and then we will not move back to the initial value. We'll move back again to the loop part. So even if I is equal to 101 was there, or for that matter we printed up to 10, so even if I was 11, okay, it got printed at least once. You can see it clearly in this flow diagram. Why? Because loop body is getting executed first and then the condition is checked. So for the initial value in the do while loop, you can clearly see that in the initial value, even if it is not following the condition, it will be printed. Okay, and this is not a disadvantage of do while loop. If you might think that this is a disadvantage, no, it is not a disadvantage. We use do while loops specifically in the purposes where we require the loop to execute at least once without even checking for the condition. Okay guys, so finally it's time for us to see that what actually is happening with the sequence of the things. Okay, I'll write the code here, not the complete code, I'll only write the loop part of it. Okay, we have already seen all these things, okay, in the flowchart also, in the program also, but why I'm showing you here, because neither in the flowchart nor in the program I can write the steps as per in the loops. What do I mean by that? See, I will write in the loops that what is the first step, what is the second step. I'll not be able to do that. I'll be doing it with the help of pen only. So yeah, I'm doing it here. So the first step is the initialization in any loop. Okay, the second step is checking of the condition in the for loop. Third step is execution of the loop body, and the fourth step is the incrementation or whatever, incrementation or decrementation even might happen. So yeah, and then after this step it will again move back to the second step, guys. My arrow couldn't read the second step here, but it is actually second step. Okay, it is not the first step. Obviously, why would we initialize? Okay, why would we initialize again? Are you getting my point? We are moving back to the second step again, that is after incrementation we will check for the condition again. We'll not make the value 1 again. Why will we make the value 1 again? Okay, so this is how actually the for loop is working. Let's do this for while loop also and do while loop also. So let's do it. While I less than equal to 100, C out I and L I plus plus. So that is it, guys, for this thing. Again, I'm telling you that how it will work. It will work like, firstly the initialization will take place, second the condition will be checked, third the body of the loop will be executed. These both of these steps come under the category of third step only. And yeah, so that is it. Okay guys, that is it. So the while loop gets executed as it is written, and then again we'll move back after the third step to the second step. Remember, not the first step, because the first step in every loop is initialization. We will not move back again to the initialization part. We always move back to the condition checking part of the loop. Okay, now let's come back to the do while loop. So do cout I plus plus while I less than equal to 100, or for that matter 10, whatever. So now let's check how it goes. So I told you that it will be executed even if the condition is false. So you can even write it I is equal to 101. It will run. Okay, it will run. See guys, one thing which is how many times all of these statements are getting executed, that whatever which is written inside the loop, see, it is getting executed 100 times, but the condition checking is happening for 101 times. Why? I'll tell you all of this in the algorithms part. When we'll move on to the algorithms, you will understand all these things better. Okay, so for now let's just see what are the steps followed. So first is the initialization, second is the loop body, and third is the checking of condition. And after the third step, I again move back to the second step, not the first step. Okay guys, so this was all about the syntax and working of the loops. From the next video we are going to do some basic questions, like we'll be doing the factorial questions, and we'll be checking whether a number is prime or not. Okay, and will be what else we can do. We can print the Fibonacci series. Yeah, Fibonacci series is also a good question for beginners obviously, but yeah, it's good, the Fibonacci series. And pattern questions, obviously we are going to discuss some pattern questions also. It's not going to happen in one video obviously. Now various videos are coming for loops, so guys get ready, subscribe, like